Thank you. Please, I'm trying to take your seat. Thank God for this time. It's good when we grow together in unity. So we give all the thanks to God. And I am very appreciative to the leadership of the Men's Fellowship. To have called upon me to share my knowledge base in my professional area. I'm no stranger to you, exception of maybe just one person, but I've already created acquaintances. So I am Joyce. Some of you call me Rwanda. And to some of you, when I say I'm Joyce, I have to add Pastor Richard's wife. So today I am Joyce, Pastor Richard's wife. But what some of you still don't know is what my background is. I think we're close to it. Today I was doing the calculation. I think it's even more than 16 years I have been doing this. Yes. I'm both a nutritionist and a public health specialist. So the last time when I had a program with the women, I was trying to explain, because sometimes when I didn't say it, people don't get the understanding. So for nutritionists, it's similar to a dietitian. What we do basically is that we use diet to manage or treat disease and prevent them as well. And then with the public health, we deal with the study, the preventive measures, the treatment and the management issues. Anything pertaining to health, including health research, anything that has to do with human health, that's what we do. And so know that you are in safe hands. Amen. Yes. I will start with the two stories, and these are life stories that happened in my line of work, and we picked some few notes from. So the first one was a young girl who had come for admission, and we had managed, when I say we, when you talk of health, it's a team. So we have what each specialist will come and do. So the team had gone to assess the young girl, giving the treatment. In fact, she had to go to theater for surgery. And then after that, she came with a case of asphyxia, which is fluid in the lungs. So she had to be taken to the theater, it was taken, and then we had to do what we call enteral feeding, or feeding through the tube. So we advised the mother not to give any food to the girl until we had given the instruction for her to do so. So she stayed for about a week after the surgery, and her condition was improving, but we had still told her not to give her any food. Unknown to us, after the morning rounds, about 1, 2, we heard some screams, and then all the specialists involved had to go down. The girl's condition became very critical, and unfortunately she died. Now, someone said, when we went into the nitty-gritty of it, we were told that the mother gave the girl coconut water, and it was because she had heard that, I wish you could have done it. Thank you. And it's because she had heard that coconut water is good. And so she felt that her child being in that condition, thank you, had to be given something to survive. It is sad, but sometimes that's what most of us do. Because we've heard something and we think that that is what we need to do to survive, and we end up killing ourselves. It may not be instant, but gradually, because of, should I say, false knowledge or the wrong information that we've had, we'll just be taking it and applying it to our life, and we'll be committing suicide slowly. And I pray that we don't do that. And even if we are doing that, I pray that we repent. Then the second scenario too was a senior doctor in one of the biggest hospitals in the country. I don't want to mention the hospital and the doctor's name. This doctor had jaundice. And again, we were called to go and assess the situation and counsel and then give the management or treatment protocol. And what we realized was that the doctor had instructed the people that they should give him only rice and pepper, nothing else, because he has jaundice and he doesn't want to die, he's afraid to die, he doesn't want to take any other food. Why am I sharing this story? Sometimes that is what some of us do. We wait till our condition becomes critical. And then we now restrict ourselves that I won't do this, I won't do that. Meanwhile, even what you've been practicing will be endangering your health. And so we had to go and then change his diet and then do a lot of counseling and change some of the treatments because they were still not seeing improvements. All because of the diets he had restricted himself. So, in the two scenarios, we realize that knowledge is power. And there are some of us, we might receive the knowledge, but practicing it becomes a challenge. And I love it so much when I have to talk to Christians or like-minded people in the faith. The same passion with which we have to evangelize or save souls that are perishing, because we know that they are dying. That is the same passion that we must attach to issues of our health. Because once the body dies, the soul will not have anywhere to live in. And so I pray that by the end of this presentation, we will repent and allow the Holy Spirit to use us in His own way so that we have long life. The topic that I was given was, please remember the topic, building healthy habits. And when we talk about building healthy habits, I believe the answers are quite obvious, and we all have various views or ideas about that, right? Hey, right?
Yes.
Okay, so can two people just tell me when you talk about building healthy habits? Any two. For the sake of time, so that we can go through what we have to do today. Just two, or you can start.
Okay, I will say that building a healthy habit is watching your diet of what you eat.
Any other?
Taking the balanced diet and exercising the body almost always. And besides that, you should take a lot of fluids, water, so that at least the blood can flow easily. Because if we dehydrate ourselves, the blood becomes very thick, like cocoa, very fast, and that affects our heartbeat.
Okay, is your comment to answer?
About that, sunlight.
Okay, he says sunlight.
Okay, also avoiding eating meat.
All right, thank you very much. So you've all done very well. So, as I said earlier on, healthy eating habits, the answers are quite obvious, so that you don't fall sick easily, and even when you fall sick, so that you can recover quickly, and it can also prolong your life. But the most important thing is that knowing all this, how do you ensure that you're able to have these benefits? And so I skewed the topic to ensuring optimal health and longevity. Amen, because it's a men's fellowship group. Hallelujah.
Amen.
And please feel free when you need to ask questions. This is a church setting, but when it comes to health, public health for that matter, there are certain things or parts of the body part that we wouldn't usually do if we have to stand on the pulpit. We have to mention that. Please don't let us feel shy. Let's be open and share and learn for the glory of God. Amen.
Amen.
So I'll take you through some statistics. Please give me the. Okay, so when we talk of health, health is not just about the absence of disease, because sometimes that's the notion. It talks about the complete, range of a complete, we have the triangle. So we have the physical health, we have the mental or emotional health, and then we have the social health. Please, you have to be moving with me. Okay. So if you're going to talk about physical health, we're talking about the physical body, the outward, what you see. Please, the next slide. And the internal organs. So the physical, what you see, and the internal organs. So the proper function of these things is what we call the physical health. And that is what most of us do. So you go to the hospital, you run some labs, they do some scans, your body part is pain, there is no aching. So that's the physical health that we know. Then we have the mental health. The mental health has to do with the mind or your emotions. So the stresses of life, when it comes, how you react. And one important aspect is not just coping with that, being productive and also making meaningful contribution to your group. So if you are in a particular group and you cannot make any meaningful contribution, then you know that there is something wrong with your mental health, or there is just a little bit that you need to work on when it comes to your mental health. Then we have social health. I'll skip it, but along the line, if you have questions, you can ask. And then we have the social health. This is how we interact with people, our ability to connect, reconnect with people, and all these sum up to our total health. So physically, everything can be okay with you, but if mentally or socially there's a shortage, we do not classify you as healthy. This is by the WHO standards, and that's what every health professional knows. And so I'll take you through, please, next slide. So the indicators for men. Most people assume that because of the gynecological issues of women are the ones who tend to have a lot of health issues. That is not true, unfortunately. And if you look at the statistics of the indicators for men, this is the mortality rate. Range of the mortality rate is about the number of times, if you compare a woman to a man, the number of times the man can die. So if you take like 100 men, you can have about between 28 to 29 of them dying per year. That is if all things are being equal. As compared to a woman that if you have like 100 people, maybe 21 to 22, or if you have 10 people, let's say about 2 people will die. But then for men, it's only about 3 people die. And so men usually are not favored, if I can say that. The next slide, please. So other indicators, these are all factual. They are based on research, science-based. Men are also less likely to seek early health care. And I'm sure that if you be very honest with yourself, most of you find yourself in this category. They are also less likely to go for health screening, even when it's free. They'll say they are fine. They are also less likely because we know family history. They wouldn't bother either. As long as they can eat, they can walk, everything is fine, they don't have any AIDS, they are okay. And usually what helps women is that when women go for antenatal, some of these questions are asked. And so even if they don't know, they will want to make an inquiry of that. And then also, you know yourselves. When you are sick and give you the treatment, you will not finish your use. Amen. Yeah. Next slide. So, comparing the immune system of men to women. Immune system is just like the soldiers in our bodies. So when any sickness strikes, they are the ones that will fight the sickness off. So depending on your level of immunity or how strong your immune system is, it will reflect on how fast you can recover or not even get certain disease. So it's not that you can hear some people saying that, oh, both of us are living in the same house. We slept on the same door in the same area, and she has malaria, or I have malaria and she doesn't, because our immune systems are different. And research also indicates that the immune system of women are stronger than that of men. Then again, men are also more likely to experience some chronic health conditions like cardiovascular, kidney stones, brain health, depression. As a matter of fact, the number of men who die out of depression or suicide is way higher than that of women. Okay, so one other advantage that women have over men is the hormone. Hormone is something that we find in our bodies. Everybody has. We have different types. And for women, the estrogen that we have, men also have, but what they have is in smaller quantities. Okay, and that has protective factors for women. So for brain health, it protects women against cardiovascular disease and all that. That is not to say that if you're a woman and you live your life anyhow, you will not get sick with these things. It's just an added advantage. So the best is to harness on that to have a healthier life. Now, God is so loving and caring, so to compensate for that, God gave men the hormone called the testosterone. And this hormone helps the men with fertility, with libido. Please go back. With libido, with muscle strength, helps in their productive, the muscle mass. There's a difference between muscle mass and then bone mass. So that's why I mentioned that a lot of muscles. And the bone is how strong your bones can be. So God also gave all these to men to help them. And let's see. So that the diagram, you realize that from these, the horizontal lines, the down part is the age, and the vertical one is the testosterone levels in men. So you notice that as men age, it drops. It's a natural phenomenon. As you age, it drops. And you realize that from 30, it starts dropping, 40 is dropping, and 50, you realize that it's coming very low. And as we saw in the previous slide, it helps in the production of red blood cells, it helps in muscle mass, bone mass, it helps in productivity, brain health, you know. So if these things are dropping, what do you think will happen? Anyone to know? Anyone? With just what I said. Okay. So basically, if these things are dropping and you are not doing anything to supplement them, what you guys say supplements can be by food, by exercise, changing lifestyle. So what happens is that because it can cause the reduction of the red blood cells, you can easily get tired because all the body parts need the blood to function well. So assuming the brain is not getting the blood, you can't think straight. You always feel stressed. Nobody has offended you, but you're always angry. You can't even concentrate at work. You attend meetings and you can't give any meaningful contribution. You're having issues with everybody around you. You don't even have appetite to eat because you're always getting tired. Once the body's not getting the blood that it needs to function well, everything doesn't appeal to you. And it also affects your sex drive, and then your bones becomes weaker, so it can lead to bone issues like osteoporosis, you have joint pains, and it can trigger the development of other diseases as well. So typically, I've talked about this, so muscle loss, erectile dysfunction, sleep problems, fatigue, accumulation of adipose. Adipose tissue is just fat cells collecting at one place because the system cannot function well. Then you have anxiety and depression, bone loss and balance. So you realize that for most people, when they get to a certain stage, they can't stand straight. That they are doing this way. Or some people even have to hold sit. So these are the things that account for. So nutritionally, these are foods that can help. And we have banana, watermelon, grapes, citrus fruits, pomegranate juice, ginger, honey, avocado, and green vegetables. However, we should take note that If you have some underlying medical conditions, for instance, if you are diabetic, you may have to forgo the honey. If you have peptic ulcer, you may have to forgo the ginger. And that is why it's good to see the specialist or the health professional to guide you. So any food that contains zinc, selenium, omega-3 fatty acids are good to help the testosterone levels in men. So you can skip this one. We've talked about this. These are also diseases that have high risk. So diabetes, muscle pain, fertility issues, erectile dysfunction, all affect men. Then there are others which are the financial. We live in a community where most burden is on men when it comes to finances. And we need to change the narrative. And then the geriatric care is just about the care for the old or the aged. A system where now most of the men are trying, so their children are taking good care of them. But you realize that then women are more advantageous when it comes to this area when they get old. They have their children taking care of them. And then over-exercising. Now the new thing is everybody's going to the gym. And they don't really check their health status. As a matter of fact, before you go to any gym, you need to have your health status assessed well before you are given the permission to do so. But people just do things anyhow. And then the social dependency. Everybody has a problem. The next person they are calling, if you put a man in the woman to get the man. So most men are in a lot of stress, they are tense. And the unfortunate thing is that men don't really share their issues. And so it compounds the problems. It affects their health. And of course, you know that you like taking high risk. And then of course the mortality rates, life expectancy of men are lower than that of men. So why am I telling all this? I'm not saying this to frighten you, but I'm saying all this so that you become aware of the situation. Because one step in solving the problem or combating your challenge is knowing it. So we are just creating the awareness for now. So these are basic things that you can do yourself. So we have easy check health kits, we have a BP machine, you can check for your blood pressure. Usually the normal range is 120/80. But as you age, well, depending on the kind of work you do, plus or minus 10 for the ranges is okay. What I mean by plus or minus 10, that it can go to 130, 90, and it can come to 110, 70. It's still normal. Then blood glucose checker, that is what we check to know the blood sugar, and so that you are diagnosed diabetic or not. It's within this range. So sometimes you hear people saying that, oh, my range is, or my value is 5 or 6 or 7, and you're wondering what are they talking about. So basically, then we have two ways of checking. We have the fasted blood sugar. That one, you don't take any food. So assuming from you don't take anything on your evening meal, you don't take after the next morning, you don't take anything, and then you take your sample and go and check. So the range for that is different than the random test. Random test, like we are sitting here, you've eaten from morning up to this time, you can just pick your sample and then we check. So if it's within this range, then we know that you are healthy. So it's good also you know the values, because sometimes what I've realized is that most people don't even ask questions. They just pick a form, give it to the doctor, and that is it. You need to ask the questions. And then you can also check your BMI. BMI is simply your body mass index. So it's your weight in kilograms over your height in meters square. So you can check your weight and then find your height in meters square, and then you check. And if you are within 25, 21, 22, 25, you are okay. 25 upwards to 30, you are getting into trouble. 30 is a no, 35, you are already obese. And for those of us who have been in it for a long time, sometimes you can just look at someone and know that this person is overweight, though you may think the person is even normal. Hello? So the other ones, the slide, hey, please, where I need to give you to? Okay, so that one was the, go back to the next slide, I think I skipped it. So basically, that was also the fat distribution, when you compare that of males to females, males are supposed to be lower than females. But nowadays you find a lot of men who are even bigger than women. Though genetics play a role, you need to check some of these things before it gets out of hand. Because when the fat levels also go high, you are prone to cholesterol, heart conditions, and lead to diabetes, even brain issues. So we need to check some of these things. Even as we pray, these are physical things that we need to check. Please, I'm working with you, so let's. So, additional physical examination that you can do, you can assess yourself. Okay, I know in our parts of the world, our setting, our cultural setting, sometimes we don't we have so many funny ideas about assessing our physical body. Okay, but you need to know your body and then identify any changes that come in. So for any unusual dryness on the skin, you have to go and check it out. Darkening of nails, it can be an indication of a liver condition. You have swollen face, feet, and you just tell them, oh, it's normal, maybe I'm just tired, so that it keeps reoccurring. You need to go and check. It could be an indication of kidney. And then there's also the physical examination of the testicles and the penis. So as I said earlier on, this is public health, so you shouldn't shy away. So physical examination, once in a while, as a man, you need to assess it. If you can't take a mirror, you can let your partner help you. Know how the normal texture is. You know when it's erect, the normal size. You notice changes in the size. You notice some little rashes here and there. You notice some discolorization, some roughness. All this you need to check. And there is a way, just like the women, we have to examine our breast and check for lumps and all that. There is a way that if you don't know, the professional can help you to check and assess for anything that could be cancerous. So if you haven't done that before, I beg you, when you go home, you can let your partner help you to do that. It's necessary. Then also, if you have some pains or heaviness in the chest, it's recurring, you need to go and check. If you have blood in your stool, urine, or your spit, you also need to go and check. You don't just assume that, oh, maybe because I stress myself, so it's one of those things. The fact of, the truth of the matter is that some of these, most, if not all, most of the diseases, if we notice them early, treatment is easier, affordable, and you don't go through that pain. Because when you are sick, some of the treatments can be very harsh. And sometimes you are left with no option because we know that is what can save you. So whilst you have the energy you're enjoying, let's take note of some of these things. And then you have sex with your partner and then you're having pains, your usual routine is not like before. You need to check all the, you don't think, oh, maybe this one is not necessary. You need to assess all these things because you don't know what might be developing. It could be the start of an STD or other infection that you wouldn't know. Then, what we call early satiety. That is, when you take small food, then you are full. That is not your usual self. But you take something small, and then sometimes it's like the food you've taken, it wants to come out. And in some cases, people actually bring about it. Maybe they are just coughing. Even while they are sitting, this is what we call a reflux. It just comes out. For some people, it may even not be through their food, but some come through the nose. So it could also be an indication of stomach cancer. And you need to check that. Next slide. And then if you have recurrent headaches, shortness of breath, we should know how the normal breathing patterns. So if you know that it's anything, indication of that, know that there is a problem sample. Sometimes you can check and it will be nothing. So if it's nothing, you are okay. But I always tell people that even if you check and it's nothing, seek a second opinion. And then you know that you are okay. Because sicknesses don't just happen. Signals are there, just that sometimes you ignore them. And then if you are always getting tired, aside your normal schedule, you know that this is your normal schedule, these are the things you can do, these are the tasks, you set objectives for yourself, and all of a sudden you don't have the energy to do it. And then for those married, because we are in church, you know your normal sexual about and that's changed. Maybe before you would go like 2 rounds with your wife, and now even 1 round is a problem. Or after that you are tired, you are confused. All those things you need to check before they get out of hand. Next slide, please. I hope you can see, but I'll try and read them. So these are additional things that we should get checked. If you've never done that before, if you've done that once in a year or twice in a year, if you know you have a family history of that, you should be checking. So for cholesterol, abdominal ultrasound, cholesterol cancer, chest screening, I've talked about HIV screening. Some of these things, especially with the cholesterol, which I know most of us have heard about it, it can lead to other conditions. Because what happens is that it can build up in the passageways that the blood has to pass through the other bodies. So when it blocks, the blood cannot go, anything can happen. You can even faint, you can get stroke. And if it gets to a point where it's at the pathway or in the brain, you can even get dementia. That's loss of memory and all that. And so these things, we need to check them. If you have Google blood, you have constant constipation or diarrhea, all these things you need to go and check. Okay. Even the next slide. Then prostate screening, that one I've heard it a number of times. So it's not every prostate issue that is cancer. Some are just enlargement, some are just infections that you can just quickly go and check. And then you also need to have your eyes, your teeth, all those things checked. If you are someone or you're sleeping by someone who snores excessively, you will have to let the person also go and check. And hepatitis B and C, all that you need to check. Next slide. Then you also have to do dietary assessment. Most people will not do this unless they have a disease that needs to be managed by diet. That's when they'll come and then you have to help them with their dietary assessment. Some people don't even know the food that they are allergic to. They don't know. They just take any medication. They don't know whether the medication that they are taking, we have what we call the drug-drug interaction. There are certain medications you take, you shouldn't take some other medication. And there are certain foods or certain medication that you take, you shouldn't also take other foods. That's what we call the drug-nutrient interaction. Then I'll talk about your teeth, ENT assessment, and mental health assessment. You don't go there only when you have a challenge. Sometimes when they assess, they can know some underlying conditions and advise you so that they don't come. If you wait and you are prone with stress, it can trigger them and become very severe. Then we have social health assessment, which people don't even do at all. It's an assessment that is done and just to check your interpersonal relationship, you seek for help, all these things will help. Okay, there are people who are always in your group and they are always complaining. They will not provide any solution. All these things are signs that we need to take a look at. The next slide. So other essential assessments, a urologist. It's a specialist meant for men. So anything about men, just like women is a gynecologist, for men is the urologist. And then the cardiologist will check the chest, everything with the heart. Especially, even if you are not sick, and you know that in your family someone has ever had a stroke, someone has ever had a heart condition, you need to check all these things. And also the orthopedics, which we don't do. We wait till we are having some joints or some back pain before we go. The earlier, the better for us. So some of these causes we've talked about genetics or sex. There are some diseases like hypertension. as long as you're a black man or a black woman, the tendency of you having it is high. And then coupled with the fact that you are a man, it increases your chance of having also. Then the environment, you have to avoid unhealthy environments. Then socioeconomic status, that will put a lot of stress on you. So aside what you do, you can learn one or two skills to top up. Sometimes it's just the brain chemistry, something just goes off in the brain and it cannot be explained. And that is why we admonish that no matter what, you have to pray. Because sometimes, having worked in the health facilities and institutions for some time, there are some mistakes that do happen. Of course, most of them we cover them up, but some of them do happen, and then it puts people's life in danger. Some have even lost their lives. So everything you just have to pray. Even the medication that you are taking, you pray. And always check with your physician what you are taking. Some people just go over the counter medicine and they get it and they buy. You have to check. Usually with a prescription, it has to do with your body weight, any other medication that you are taking, the severity of your condition. Then we give the dosage. So dosage that maybe elder will be taking will be different from dosage that my brother here will be taking. So you don't assume that, oh, this person took this medicine, it's fine, so let me also take it. And then of course, our lifestyle to change. Next slide. So some of the exercises that you can do, these ones you can do them at home. You don't need to go to the gym. Meditation. You can meditate, you can have deep breathing in and out. I think you can do that exercise. So can we just take a deep breath in and out. In and out. Then, and also have brisk walking. Sometimes they walk, people just walk. They're talking about brisk walking. And then swimming. Swimming is a very good exercise. Unfortunately, some of us are scared to swim, so may the Lord help us. Then plants. Plants are just the press ups that you have to do. And then pelvic floor muscle, squatting, and kegel. When you talk of kegel, it's like women do that. Most women do that. It's like when you want to pee, and you're trying to hold up the pee. You don't do that when they want to really pee. But as you are there, you can exercise. So you exercise the muscles in your pelvic area, which helps prevent a lot of issues, including prostate and some cancers. Then with urinary incontinence, erectile dysfunction, pelvic pain, and also build your stamina as a man. Another very simple exercise that you can do is stretching. Stretching. So can you all stand? I think you start for too long. So you can do just a little stretching of the arms, sideways, up. Yes. If you can bend down, you can try, but if you can't, even as sometimes you sit, you can sit, can you sit? Just the way the chairs are arranged. So as you are seated, you can try to touch your knee and then the toes. Okay. So that can also be exercise if, especially those who cannot use pattern all the time. And that is good exercise for the body. You can do that maybe 10 to 15 times in the morning and in the evening. And please remember that with exercise, when you are starting, start gradually. Because I said I want to do 30, 50, you bring down. Because the body is not used to that. And what we preach and practice is a lifestyle. It is something. So when you come, we do modification for you. We don't say that go strictly like this. Take A, take B, take C. So we ask you what you have. Then based on what you have, look at your income level, what is available, whether you have allergens, look at the cultural bits, and then based on that we can modify the food to help you. So look at intake, timing, processing, preserving. Next slide. Where is it? So this is just about the life choices that you want to make, either that way or the other way. Okay. so I'm waiting for him. Okay, so whilst I'm waiting for him, there are some food modifications that we encourage people. Okay, so we know that our tongues or our taste buds, we are used to certain things, and sometimes it's difficult. And you know, the health, I said, has this holistic, okay, so mental, physical, social. So if you are looking at physical and the person's mental health is at stake, it doesn't help. Because the person will think, hey, I feel a minute saying, and some will say, because me will not be paid. Okay, we hear that a lot. So what we do is that we modify it for them. So, Banku, no, okay. So for burger pizza, which we are used to, so what we recommend that we do vegetable wraps. So the wrap is just like, I don't know how I can explain, but we all know wrap. We all know wraps. Okay, so it's like I think we all know wraps. So you use the vegetables, and what you use for the wrap, the flour that you use, instead of the normal white flour, we encourage that you use coconut flour or oats flour. We have even millet or farming flour. Then cookies. There are some of us, there is a man I know that he cannot take tea without cookies. He's addicted to it. So for such a person, you can't tell the person not to take cookies. So what we encourage is that you do the cookies, and in doing so, use either the oats, coconut or potato flour in place of the white flour. And then for sugar, you can use the date syrup. So there are some things that we add for you or we advise you to do. Then of course, white bread, you can have oats bread, potato bread, you use the flour to do it. And for those who say that I can't go without ice cream, you can do the Greek yogurt with chia seeds, which are very good. They are rich in probiotics that helps to build the immune system. And for kids, I've been telling someone in particular that when you are growing and get to a certain stage, you need to modify the cake that you eat. Okay, so as for the babies, we need to celebrate them. They are all important. They help with our mental and our social health. But in doing so, we can use instead of egg, you can use the flaxseed. Instead of the fondant, you can use it. If you are not a cake person, this might look strange to you. So instead of that, you can use the cashew butter. So from the cashew nuts, then we can also try the baobab, sorghum, millet or foney. So these are healthy cakes. In fact, when you see them and I tell you that this is a healthy cake, you might not believe, because we have all the icing and all the butter around it, but it's healthy. You can take it anytime without worrying about your health. So that is how we modify the diet for them. Next slide, please. Then for soft drinks, Coke and soda, especially those who are addicted to Coke, you can try the fruit and vegetable juices. You can try peach juice. You can mix it a little bit of pineapple or orange. You can try watermelon, mango, or the baobab fruit if you get it. An energy drink, you can go for green tea. Green tea without milk or sugar. Then for sugar, you can try date syrup or honey if you don't have any issues with your blood sugar. We are not diabetic. Then for snacks, you can try the healthy nuts, the seeds. So we have almond nuts, walnuts, hazelnuts, cashew nuts, shares. All these things you can find in organic shops. Then I've talked about the cakes. Next slide, please. Okay. So for the banku, you can try oats, millet, or banku. And then we can try the vegetable. The last time I had the program with the women's, we were telling them about cabbage, and somebody was like, last week someone went to me and said she's now addicted to it, and that's her favorite now. So you can try all these diet modifications. You cannot go, but it will be a healthy one. You can do it with carrots, you can do it with garden eggs, whichever works for you. And then for gari, because of the heavy starch base, you can try grated potato. Or we have another one we call the couscous. You can use it for your beans and your vegetable. And for animal proteins, the meats, cow meat, goat meat, whatever. You can try vegetable proteins like the legumes, the beans. And if you like, you want to go to a bit of the extreme, you still insist on the animal protein, you can use white meat like chicken or egg instead. Then you can add vitamins or probiotics. If you are buying, especially those who buy in the shops, if you check the food that has probiotics, it helps with the digestive system and all that. So for the dairy product or the milks, you can try soy milk, almond milk, oat milk, or coconut milk. Some of these you can do them in the house. You can do them out. And then for white rice, it's either the local white rice, they go for the brown rice. Excellent. So for the helpful unsaturated fats, these are fats that most of us still can't do without. So the oils that we use in our homes, you can use the soya bean oil, sunflower oil, granular oils, or olive oils. If you really want to be straight, you can go for the extra virgin olive oil. And then seafood as well, like salmon, oysters, fish. But basically, the omega-3 fatty acids, they are the good cholesterol. They will not get clamped in the veins or the bowels, and so you are free. Next slide. So this is the pictorial view of what I was talking about. So these are fats cells that have, you can see the line, it's more yellow below it. I don't know if it's that visible. Yeah, so we can block the pathway. So see the blood flowing, you can block the pathway and the blood gets stuck. So it builds pressure. Most blood pressure, that's what it causes. It builds the pressure there, very tiny. And then when it gets blocked and blood cannot flow through, the place becomes numb. If you are unfortunate and it happens in the heart, you can get a heart attack. You can go off. Next slide. So for spices, so you can try garlic. Garlic helps a lot with the brain function. It has antioxidants, simply helps in building the immune system. It's taking a lot of stress from us, and it slows down aging. And nutmeg also has antioxidant. It also has anti-inflammatory. Anti-inflammatory means it helps with pain, it eases pain relief and all that. Then our local spice, Aphomycin and Escherichia, because of the anti-inflammatory properties that it has, they have a bone fracture, it helps, it can also reduce blood pressure. And Mintial and what we call the negro pepper and the pepper of the cloves, they also help to cure infection. Precautions should be taken with the cloves, especially if you are having issues with fertility. You don't take too much. Okay, and then just 2 pieces is enough. When you talk of portion control, when you take a plate, you divide it into 3. So the first half should be more of your fruits and your vegetables. The other half divided by 2. One should have your carbohydrates and the other should have your protein. So if it's rice, after you divide it into 2. So there's a small portion, but most of us will do it the other way, which doesn't help. And you say that I'm used to it. Remember the scenarios I gave before I started. We shouldn't get to that point. Please, the next slide. So this particular thing, most of us don't do, what we call the detox or detoxification. It is true that the body naturally detoxes itself, but with the environment and the activities and the way our food intake has changed, at least for every day, you can take warm water, half cup. That's the first thing you do, even before you eat or you brush your teeth. That's the first thing you do. You can also do it 3 continuous days in a week. That one, you can take the pineapple plus lime, turmeric, organic turmeric powder, or cinnamon powder. That one should be just a teaspoon in warm water. Take it in the morning. So continuous for 3 days in the week. Stop. You can also do lemon or lime, continuous for 3 days. It helps to cleanse the colon and helps with digestive issues, especially those who may have constipation, diarrhea. It helps a lot. It takes a lot of waste from the body that the body ordinarily wouldn't have been able to do so. You can do apple cider vinegar, but with that one, the caution is that most people take it like that. If you take it like that, it can affect your teeth. So you have to use a straw, just take a little mix it with warm water, and you are good to go. And with water, you shouldn't wait till you are thirsty. We say you should take 8 glasses of water in a day, but don't wait till you are thirsty. So you should be taking it in intervals. intervals, then you are good to go. Then I've talked about portion control. Then intermittent fasting. We recommend fasting too as a therapy. And the fasting, it comes in various categories. Sometimes we can put you on fruit fast. Sometimes we can put you on raw food fast. Sometimes too, we can put you on water fast, depending on the situation or what we want to achieve. Next slide, please. So the timing, ideally you're supposed to eat 5 times a day. Breakfast 7 to 8, brunch 10 to 11. So the brunch and the snack, that's after the lunch, it should be basically the seeds and the nuts that I was talking about, the healthy ones. Or the fruits, you can top them up with it. So your breakfast. And our breakfast, you are not restricted to tea or oats or Tom Brown or rice porridge. You can take what you usually assume that you can take for lunch or supper. But you have to take it in moderation. Then lunch, then supper. Latest by 6 you should eat. The reason why it's latest by 6 is that your last meal, between your last meal and the time that you sleep, should be 4 hours interval, so that digestion can be effective. If not, it can build up and then it goes on to the next day. It is undigested, and when you do that for a longer period of time, it can lead to gallbladder stones and some undesirable conditions. Next slide. So food processing, so you can use the air fryer so that you can reduce the number of oils that you are using. You can boil instead of frying all the time. You can smoke, especially on the charcoal. That's very healthy. And for vegetables, you need to wash them and avoid deep frying. For the vegetables, if you can have your backyard garden, it's perfect, because now people add a lot of chemicals and you can't really authenticate their source unless you are buying it from an organic shop, which sometimes is quite expensive. Next slide. So for freezing, you may have to freeze immediately as possible. Use airtight or Ziploc, especially for the vegetables and fruits. Next slide. So that it's not prone to bacteria or cause infection or food poisoning. Most food poisoning actually happen in the home. And lifestyle, you shouldn't skip your meals because you want to reduce your weight or because you are trying to be healthy. No, take your meals, but take them in the right quantity and take what you are supposed to take. No late night eating, I've talked about that. And they have to take fiber-rich foods at night. Fiber-rich foods like oats are good because it has a lot of fiber and can digest quickly. Once in a while, try to go vegetarian. You can skip this one. These are just food that boost your mood. So I've talked about taking God first. The Bible says that for lack of knowledge you perish. And so once you have the knowledge, we believe that God has given us the wisdom and the knowledge, so we should also do our part and take your nutrition very seriously. Don't wait and become like that doctor with jaundice condition. And exercise. Even whilst you are sitting here, you can be doing deep breathing, like meditating, and have or maintain a social support group. And coming together as men or coming for the fellowship is one way you can socialize. And then men, please, when you have issues, at least get trusted people and have an open conversation with them. It helps a lot. Then plan for vacation or recreation. We are always busy, we are chasing after one thing or the other because we need to fulfill our dreams and desire. But going on vacation is also a therapy. It's part of the treatment therapies for most of the terminal conditions. So let's start that habit now before we get to that point. And then men really don't have this problem of forgiving, but sometimes when they are really hurt, it takes the grace of God for them to forgive. So please learn to forgive easily and seek counseling where there is the need. So of course you need to maintain a normal body weight. Have a regular sleep pattern. Be intentional about it. the rest bureaus. Sometimes your body is giving you signal, but you still want to work. Then minimize, avoid stress. Anything that will cause stress, just try to minimize and avoid it. And having a healthy work-life balance. I know your last two sessions, doctor talked about that, so I don't want to talk so much. Then overexposure of the skin to sun or excessive heat. And the new norm now is the hair dyes for men. You go to the barbering shop and before you realize they're adding the dyes. It's unhealthy. Yes, it can cause undesirable health outcomes. I don't want to scare you because of the way some of you are looking at me, but it can lead to cancer. So, as much as possible, you can avoid them. And, of course, have regular good sex and avoid multiple sex partners. Sex builds your immune system, takes a lot of stress from the body and keeps you active. And have routine medical checks, as I said. The checks I enlisted and we talked about them. And this includes massaging sessions, which most men don't do. Yes. And so you put a lot of stress in your system. But the massaging helps relieve you. And it's actually also a therapy for some conditions, especially when it comes to the mental health. And stick to your treatment or management guidelines. Whether it's orthodox or herbal, don't try to mix the two. But when you go and see any physician or health professional, let them know if you are taking any other medication, if taking any other medication with that same condition, so that it will help with the right treatment. And help to report any side effect of any medication or treatment regimen. It doesn't mean that you've been given this, so you have to take it. The moment you are taking it, you are seeing unusual signs, stop and report to the clinic. Maybe your system is just rejecting it so that we can give you the other alternate solution. Next slide, please. So the question now is, how healthy are you? You are the best judge. I'm not going to ask anyone, but that's something you should meditate on and take action. Okay. So I leave you with this quote, James 4:17, taken from the NIV. Or if anyone then knows the good they ought to do and doesn't do it, it's a sin for them. I said earlier on when I was beginning that usually when you hear someone committed suicide or Christian, we hold it hard that anyone who takes his or her life, they are going to face judgment. But we don't know that that is what most of us are doing. We are killing ourselves softly and slowly by the lifestyle, the food, and the things that we are doing, which we are not supposed to do, and the ones that we are not supposed to do, and we are doing. So today, if anyone there knows the good we ought to do, it doesn't do it. It's a sin for me. And I'm glad that this is church. And so, I conclude by saying that, my brother, real men, and for that matter, real men of value, act. You are aware of your situation, you check your wellness status, and seek treatment holistically. Thank you for having me. Any questions? Any questions, suggestions, or contribution?
Okay, let me start with my question. Okay. During the corona era, there is one particular leaf tree. They said it boosts the immune system. And as health practitioner, I'll ask, what is your intake about herbal medicine?
Herbal.
Yes.
It's an interesting question, and I always give my honest judgment. Neem tree has a lot of health properties. But remember in my presentation, at the point I said that the fact that someone is taking something doesn't mean that you should also take. Because you don't know, you look at the body weight, the severity of the condition, how the prevalence or how often that has occurred, the family history, and all that. So it's a whole lot. And sometimes people come just meet me one-on-one. Oh, I had this condition, what do you recommend? I'll tell them, come and let's sit down, because I need to take your history so that I can give you the best of advice or counsel, what treatment that I can give to you. So yes, for me, as a public health specialist, as a dietitian, I went to work in the health sector. As I said, I was checking, doing the calculation, and I'm clocking 16 years already. And I think that, I know for a fact that if you put all things together, I would always go for herbal medicine. But it is not every condition that a herbal medicine can address. If you get an accident and you have to be rushed to the accident and emergency, are you now going to look for those things that will stop the blood and all that? No. Sometimes too, even we had some programs with the people, the research center, and even the professionals, even the professors, sometimes when they take the herbs, it becomes so confusing because they look the same or similar. So they have to put it in a machine to determine whether it is that one that they are looking for or not. So how much more than if you are not so sure? And people take it, they take it the wrong quantity at the wrong time. They don't check the condition, the severity of the condition. They mix it with other things, and at the end of it, become poisonous to you. Because there's a thin line between medication and poison. The medicine can become poison at any given time, based on how you handle it, whether herbal or orthodox. The only thing is that with a herbal medication, we take like a sample or a leaf, and then we are using it to, let's say, cure, I'm just mentioning it, like if you are hepatitis B. We take it together, but they have the active, when I say the active ingredient, it means that the one that is stronger or more innate to cure a particular disease, we take it alongside the other properties. Okay, so even if you are taking it, and then you're having some side effects, the other parts that were not taken out become kind of curb or tone down the condition. But with the orthodox, we take just the active part to cure a particular disease. That's why you notice that for most orthodox medication, it's strictly, if it's for hypertension, if it's diabetes, that, if it's headache. I realize that for the herbal, one particular one is curing about 2 or 3. It's because of some of these issues. Of course, it's not everything that we tell. Okay. But be it orthodox or herbal, you need to consult the right health professional to guide you. People have gone herbal and they have actually died because they did it the wrong way. And so whichever way you decide. Now there are universities that do herbal medicine as a course. There are hospitals, I know police hospital, they have a herbal center. I don't know if now they've stopped. Okay, so if you want to go, I always say that the only one that I can vouch for, the herbal center at police hospital, is within the hospital. So when you go, you tell them whether you want orthodox or you want herbal, they'll direct you. And the right physician will handle you. You can also go to the MAPON research center. We have the right people who have been trained in that field to help you. But the others, I cannot tell. Though it may be working, but I cannot stand there and authenticate it.
Mine is just information. I would suggest that the planners and organizers of this program might give you an opportunity where not to come and just talk, but if you have advices in terms of screening our bodies to be checked on the things. Because like you said, if the men don't like going for checks, and it must be enforced on us. That at least if there's any disease, something in us, it will be identified in the doctor.
Okay, so I think that one goes to the leadership also. I can't say much about it.
Two more questions.
is how often should we engage in exercising?
Okay, so we recommend at least 30 minutes a day and at least 3 times a week. It should be good if you can do it every day in the week. It will help a lot. But once again, if you can't, even with the 30 minutes, if you come to me and we haven't been exercising, I'll tell you to start with 10 minutes. The next day, check your system. Maybe go to 15 minutes because it's supposed to be a lifestyle. But when you build yourself up to that point, then you know that at least 30 minutes. You can even go 1 hour, but it shouldn't go beyond that.
Yeah, if I can remember, during your introduction, there was a case of a girl who took the coconut water. Was it not good for the person?
Okay, so as I said that whether orthodox or herbal or even food, there's just a thin line. It can be poisonous or it can be health. So in her instance, we had told them not to feed the girl because the body had to heal to a certain point before she would take in food. And because she had red sample, approachable water is good. So let me give it to her. After there's a tube that has been inserted into the girl. So that was it. Coconut water, even in situations sometimes, because of the high potassium content, there are certain conditions we don't even advise that you take. Because where there is electrolyte imbalance, I don't know how I can read that, but there are some, should I say, nutrients or chemicals, they need to be in the same balance. So sometimes, because of a particular condition, some can escalate, sometimes can come down because the body is not able to break them down or utilize them, so it stays there and can cause problems. So, though, like, especially if you have maybe prostate and going for coconut water, someone with a kidney issue may not be advised to go for coconut water.
Based on the presentation about the food consumption, I remember that 90% of the food you listed are vegan. So does that mean that vegetarian is more healthier than someone who takes it? I didn't see much of the protein parts of it.
Yes. Putting all things together, vegetarians are healthier than non-vegetarians. So if you can.
Yeah, but I researched recently. A scientist who's a vegetarian. Well, she wasn't a vegetarian, but she decided to become vegan. Then, through eating only vegetables and fruit, she grew lean. Her body, her weight started reducing, and then she started having medical complications because she wasn't getting some nutrients she was supposed to get from animals, like fat and whatever. So, when you see they are more healthier than you think.
Okay, so let me explain further to you. So when you say a vegetarian diet, it's not just about vegetables and fruits. That's why I said plant-based. So anything that is plant-based is vegan. So that's why I have the olive oil, the granular oil. So if the person is taking fruits and vegetables and is not taking those oils, so it goes back to the initial story about the doctor who was only taking the white rice and the pepper because he felt that this is what I have to take. If I take any other oils, I might die. So when you talk about vegan, even with the proteins, you have the legumes, you have the beans, and all the other ones. Some even take egg, as I said, egg. Yes, some also take that. So you don't just assume that I'm vegetarian, so you are sticking to just a particular thing. That's why you need the right people to counsel and guide you. So you know what it means to be a vegetarian or not.
About egg consumption. As a man, how many times are you supposed to take egg in your week?
Oh, for egg, advise people that without the yolk, which has the cholesterol, you can take even 2 or 3 in a day because the white is safe. But when you add the yolk to it, then you shouldn't take more than 1 a day because it contains high cholesterol. And that is not the only food that contains cholesterol that you might take in a day. So you end up shooting your cholesterol level and you have issues with your health.
Is that based on age differences? Because I heard kids are supposed to take in more eggs than.
You see, let me give you this scenario. Somebody came to the children's hospital and the person said that, oh, I heard that milk is good for children. So he always made sure that he was giving milk. But the kind of milk that he was giving to the child. Sometimes it is sad when you go to the renal ward of kids. That's the children with kidney issues. One of these days you can pass by. Sometimes you will cry. You have children who have kidney issues. You have children who are obese. You have children who have heart issues. Some of them have died because of the kind of food that we give them. And that is why we have the professionals. And for us, it's even at preconception, before you decide to give birth, there are certain foods that you need to be advised on. Whilst you are pregnant, there are certain foods that you should be taking. When you give birth, within the first few days, there are certain foods you should be taking. Under 5 years of a child, there are certain foods that you should take. But you know our system, we assume that we know everything. And so we take everything. But it shouldn't be so. That is why amongst the checks that I have outlined, there was a dietary assessment, which most of us don't do. We just go out because the family, that's what we are giving, and then we go out with it. So if you have never done dietary assessment, you have to do it and check. And know the things that you are eating, which probably are not supposed to be eating. And the things that you have decided not to eat, that's what you are eating. So for children, depending on their age, depending on their nutritional requirement, we have what we call nutritional status assessment. So when we assess you, then we know what the portions that you need. We have what we call the daily requirements, the RDA, recommended daily intake, daily requirement. And so we do all those calculations. Because it's more like, but we do the calculations, sometimes we do the measurements. That's why I said that we have to find what's available to you. So we put all those into consideration. Then we come up with a diet plan for you. Some people will say that they are used to that and nothing happened to them, but you don't know the deficit that has caused. So at every point in time, you must have a dietary assessment. You know what you're taking, what you're not taking. Sometimes even as we are seated here, our systems are different. What my system will accept, your system will reject, and even cause you problems. And most people have certain health conditions because of what they are eating that they don't even know. So that's why we need to do all these assessments, and then we come to a favorable condition so that it will help.
My question is, at a certain age, this is age-wise, the enzyme in the stomach that digests milk degenerates. But it looks like most adults like eating more milk. I mean, those who are very good. Can you advise us on that?
So once again, it depends on a lot of factors. Generally, I would advise that it's a normal phenomenon that as you age, your body functions or metabolism changes. And so you need to adjust and do some readjustment to keep your health at bay. And because of that, you will advise that you don't take milk that are animal-based. So then again, we go to the veg. Yes, we go to the vegetarian. However, if you still want to take that off, we will do the dietary assessment. We will do the nutritional status assessment and know if your body still needs those things that are found in the milk for a healthy life for you. If it's necessary, we will know what to recommend for you. If it's not, we will advise against it. But then again, I know people who are over 90 and they take animal-based milk and they are okay. So it's based again on your system. That's why we need the assessment. So you can't generalize it for everybody.
The other aspect of it is why is it that in rearing animals, they pay too much importance to colostrum? That's the first one produced by the dam, that's the mother. But in humans, it's like the sort of they kind of something that's not nice. So when the woman gives birth, the first 3 days or first 2 days, that milk is squeezed out and discarded. Whereas that contains antibodies, fats, and all that supposed to keep the baby for about 6 months when it starts eating water. In our settings, when the child is born, within 1 week or 2, we start giving them water. So advise on that, please.
Okay, so it goes back to education and the knowledge base. And for when it comes to the colostrum, that's it's part of breastfeeding. Okay, so a lot of campaigns have been done on that. So we even advise mothers who have CS to try and see they can start with the one and then they'll be able to produce it. But then if it's not available, we'll have to find a suitable feed for the baby within that period. I say suitable underlined, yes, because it's what the professionals will recommend and not any other milk that you think. We have particular feeds that are approved for babies if they are not getting that. But the moment the breast milk starts coming, we advise that the colostrum is the yellowish part. It should be given to them because it's very important for them. And that is why we launched the breastfeeding week, which is the first week of August. And you see a lot of campaigns, media works everywhere. You see people coming to homes, going to schools. So that is being worked on. In fact, there's been so much work on breastfeeding and colostrum when it comes to that. So I believe people are changing. Who there is still watching. Thank you. All right, so thank